Hello everyone, it's Jayma Malme. Welcome to another scrapbook process video. Today I'm documenting some photos of my daughter and her love of glasses and sunglasses when she was younger. And to document this, I'm using the Storybook collection from Close to My Heart. I love the colors in this collection, and you can see there's that fun shiny UV coating on the stickers. Here are the different papers in the collection. I really liked this kind of rainbow stripe pattern, so that's what I'm going to use today. And there's also some kind of sketchy patterns. One is a little more feminine and one is a little more masculine. And then I got the Scrapbooking workshop kit, which comes with these paperboard pieces. There's some really fun pieces like unicorn and dragon and castle and the rainbow, and then it also comes with these die cut pieces. I'm going to use a lot of the stars today, actually a lot of that last sheet. There's also some diamonds and then these strips, and the front is a more feminine color palette and the back is more masculine. There are also these exclusive papers that come in the scrapbooking kit and some cardstock colors to go along with the layouts that are designed to create with this kit. So these are the 3 two-page layouts that are designed for the scrapbooking kit. There are cutting diagrams and instructions to put these layouts together, so you can just follow them as is if you'd like. I usually get these kits just to get all those extra pieces, and then I do my own thing. I also pulled out this Spectacular You stamp set because all of those glasses are going to be perfect to create some custom paper for my project. So I've pulled out 2 Versamats to work on since I'm doing a 2-page layout, and I started with a white base because these photos have kind of a mishmash of colors, and so usually when I have that, I try to use my pattern paper sparingly. So that's what I'm going to be doing here. I've got that pattern paper that has lots of colors in it, so even though that color that looks kind of like red is actually paprika, it's like a dark burnt orange, I thought it blended with the red in the photos well enough to work. Then I added a lighter border underneath that striped paper because I wanted to do some stamping, so I know that my ink is going to show up well on that light seabrook color. Then I thought, well, all of these photos have a black mat. I thought that my base page needed a little bit of grounding too, so I added some black cardstock around the base page, and then I'm going to move on to my stamping. It's hard to tell because of the black Versamat, but there is a black mat around the whole base, and I cut the white piece down a little bit. I'm just going to turn my Versamat over, and that gives me a nice spongy surface to work on for my stamping. Now, if you don't have a Versamat, that's okay. All of the stamp sets come with a little piece of foam that helps give you that cush that is super helpful when you're using stamps. So I'm just going to put my 3 little glasses stamps that I want to use on this block. So I'm going to do 1 on each side of this block, and then I actually pulled in another block to use, and I'm going to alternate 3 different styles of these glasses. Pardon the shaking, I was at a retreat on a wobbly table. So there's my first one, and then I'm going to move on to this cat eye frame and put that on. I'm holding the stamp just for a couple of moments to let that ink really soak in, and I'm using the Archival black ink. This is my favorite black for stamping most of the time because it's a really dark, vivid black. It is even darker than the intense black ink. I really like the Archival black for this type of stamping. So now we've got our border going all the way across, and then I'll add those little pieces on the other side as well. And by the way, there's no reason why those other pieces have to be so tall. They were just scraps that I had, so I just kind of went with it. I could have just cropped off the top of those though. So we're going to get those in place, and now we have that cute custom border going all the way across the page. Now this stamp set that I used is actually retired, but Close to My Heart is having a huge stamp sale all month long. All of the stamps and stamp plus coordinating die cuts are on sale all month, so there's some really good deals. There are lots of stamps that could work for whatever theme that you might have to create a border or to random stamp and create your own patterned paper. I did a video recently where I showed how to do that, so I will link that at the end of this video as well as in the description below if you want to get some more ideas on how to stamp your own patterned paper. It is such a fun technique when you need a patterned paper and you don't have it in a pre-designed paper. You can just create your own with stamps in any colors that you want. So I'm gonna get the rest of these pattern papers down, and it's kind of nice that I did the frame style matting on that right side because I only had to use little scraps of paper on either side of that on my right hand page. I brought in a separate journaling box because I wanted that to have its own mat, and then I pulled in a bunch of the die cuts from that kit. So I put one at the top of the journaling box, and then I thought this title, "You're a Star," would work perfectly for these photos because she definitely thought that she was a star when she wore these glamorous sunglasses. A lot of them had rhinestones on them and little doodads and stuff. She just always felt so special and so cute in her sunglasses, and she really was so cute. So I kind of pulled out the die cuts that are more white. There's some that have white with black stitching and then yellow for my accent colors because the other colors didn't work so well. Oh, there was another Seabrook, like that light mint color that we used on the border. And then I'm going to scatter these other yellow stars over on the other side. I'm just kind of tucking the die cuts here and there. I start with the bigger ones because those are going to be the base of my embellishment clusters, and then work to the smaller ones. And then I realized I wanted to bring in a little bit more black accenting. So I pulled in some of the pieces from that black paperboard die cut sheet. There were a bunch of hearts, so I pulled those out and again started with the biggest one. I thought that that would look cute layered underneath the small yellow star, and then I'll scatter these other small hearts around, much like I would kind of gems or those kind of things around the page. So at this point I have formed my visual triangle. I've got my 3 clusters, and I've got the same colors spread throughout each of those clusters. I saw these arrows and I thought it would be cute to point those toward the title to draw attention to it. And then I couldn't help but use this rainbow because my daughter loves rainbows and unicorns and all that kind of stuff. And so I thought that that looked cute there. I tried the rainbow sticker, but it was too colorful. It brought in too much more color, and I liked just having that black embellishment. Then I thought that I wanted my die cuts, especially that title, to stand out more. So the first thing I did was I took my little blending foam and I went around the edge of the die cuts with black ink. And that regular ink blending tool wasn't quite small enough to get in the nooks and crannies, so I had these little small blending tools. They are also from Ranger that I picked up at a local scrapbooking store, and they work perfect to get into those little areas of the die cuts. So I did that to every die cut, all the stars and everything, and then I wanted to add a little bit of inking behind each of my clusters and the title. So I'm using the mist ink, which is kind of like a light gray blue. It's that blue that's in the striped paper. And I thought that would be a nice complement to keep it light and not bring in any of the bright dominant colors, but still keep the focus on the photos because the photos are still brighter than all of the embellishing that I'm adding. So I put it behind that cluster and I really liked it. And so I'm going to continue with all of the clusters. I'm blotting my ink blending brush off onto my little mat there before bringing it to the paper because I didn't want any harsh ink lines as I was doing this. So I'm just going to go around until I'm happy with the concentration of color. You can, stop when it's lighter or keep going and it'll just keep getting darker and darker. So I'm happy with it now. I got all my pieces back in place just to make sure, and I do like that. So I went ahead and did the other cluster on the right. And then there were these little flowers in that paperboard embellishment sheet as well. So I thought I would try them, but I went back to the arrows. I just really liked how those pointed to the title and drew your attention there. Next, I decided to add some splatters in that same mist color, but I didn't have a mist shimmer brush, so I created my own. I took a little block and I smushed some mist ink down on it, and then I took my clear shimmer brush and squeezed a little bit out, and then picked up all of that color from the ink that was down there, and then I have my mist color. So I'm going to splatter that around the page in various corners. I do have a little piece of scrap cardstock covering my photos so that I don't get some ink on them. Of course, I didn't do that all the way around, and I get lazy sometimes, and usually when that happens, I get some splatter on my photos. Luckily, it didn't happen this time. But I'm just going to grab it and go all the way around. This color is quite light, so I am going pretty heavy all the way around just to give a little bit of shimmer in all of the little corners and areas. I went around the clusters as well as corners that didn't have clusters. So I'm happy with that, how that is looking, and I'm just going to squiggle off on this scrap paper to get any of the extra color off of my clear shimmer brush until it runs clear again. It's super easy to do that. At this point, I realized I wanted to have more clusters. Usually I have a visual triangle, but I really wanted to draw some of the color and embellishments up to the top right as well. So that bottom right cluster did have quite a few embellishments, so I was able to just pull a couple from there to add a small cluster in the top right. And because odd numbers are usually pleasing to the eye, I added another small cluster in the middle and thought that that rounded out your visual triangles. This one actually serves as the third point of two visual triangles instead of one. So I'm liking how this is looking, but I'm going to step back in a little bit and realize that I don't have any yellow there, so I'm going to have to add that in a little bit. But before I do, I added some little gems. These are just clear sparkles that I'm adding around the page, and had to have a little bit more sparkle and shine for this quite girly and glamorous layout. Now I did add a little bit of adhesive to the back of my pages so that they would stay in place on my Versamats. So those come off very easily with the rub and remove eraser. Sometimes you can even pull them off, rub them with your fingers. So now this is where I realize I need another point of yellow in the middle of the page. So I found this sticker on the sticker sheet because I didn't have any more yellow die cuts. And so this worked perfectly. I'm just going to get it right in place with my tweezers. And I like how that looks. See how I have two visual triangles with those 5 embellishment clusters? So here's a closer look at how everything turned out, that cute stamping and the ink blending. So I hope you picked up some tips and that you'll try some stamping on your next layout. If you want still shots of this layout, be sure to check out my Facebook and Instagram accounts. They are linked below. And to check out how to create your own background paper, check out this video that's on screen right now. Thanks for watching and have a great day.